to binding arbitration, and the men would have gone back to work. Now, Gary officials are trying legal action to get the men back on the job. Channel 7's Larry Buckman reports from nearby Hampton.
Take it.
Gary fireman and boss.
Stand by to take out the super on 15.
Charges that they violated a court injunction when they walked off.
Take out your super and change it. Stand by camera 1.
Because of inadequate fire
Stand by camera 1. And
Gary Buckman, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
This is the Flynn Daily Eyewitness News, the way you see it each weekday at 5, 6, and 10, in its finished form. What you don't see are the hours of preparation by the Channel 7 news staff. This is what you will see on Anatomy of a Newscast. Here is where tonight's Flynn Daily Eyewitness News begins the day. It's 5 in the morning. The first news editor arrives, and already preparation for tonight's newscast is underway. 1 million words from around the world will be read and condensed. Hundreds of phone calls placed and received. Thousands of feet of film shot and edited before our day is over. Police and fire radios put us instantly in touch with the problems of the city. Teletypes connected to every news capital keep us fully informed on events taking place in the city, the nation, and the world. Telephones connect us to our news sources throughout the Chicago metropolitan area. And two-way radios allow us to dispatch our crews instantly to the scene of a breaking news story. All information, including stories developed by our reporters and news staff, plus tips provided by viewers, is funneled through the assignment desk. The assignment editor must digest it, assess it, then select those film stories you'll see on tonight's news.
4 or 5 tonight?
4 today plus Tony.
We'll send a 7:30 crew out to Gary.
This is KJM 544 calling KK 3737.
This is 37. Go ahead.
Car 37, I want you to go to the Hammond Courthouse. That is where the Gary...
A film team consists of a cameraman, lighting electrician, audio engineer, and a reporter. The reporter coordinated and reported to you. The film crew's job is to get that story on film. The film teams are the eyewitnesses to the events. They are there to record news as it happens, to put you, the audience, on the scene. Newsmen are not patient. They can't afford to be with deadlines to meet, but sometimes there is little to do but wait. The court appearance in Hammond has been delayed. Now, waiting can have its pleasant moments, but newsmen must always be ready, because when the action comes, it happens fast, and we have to move fast to get it on film.
Base to 3-6. Have a report that the Blackstone Rangers are marching through the loop.
All right.
Covering the news in these days of marches and confrontations isn't the easiest job. Some of our cameramen have walked for miles with 30 pounds of camera braced on their shoulders. Because they are so visible, news film crews make easy targets for those who want to take their anger out on the press. The reporter, in addition to directing coverage, must protect his crew from the rear. These men know the element of danger is there, but they want to be where the action is, and above all, they want to get the story. Marches and disturbances make up only a minor part of our news coverage, although it may not seem that way to some viewers. We assign as many as 25 stories a day, ranging from the court appearance of a gangland chieftain to a feature story on a smile week.
Car 39, I want you to go to the Civic Center, room 2403. A decision expected soon.
The assignment editor gets paid for making decisions. It isn't much of a job. He just has to know what's going on in 1,100 municipalities located in the Chicago area and how to get to each of them fast. He only has to keep track of 8 million citizens and their thousands of community organizations. He just has to check out all the tips, police calls, and wire stories, then decide what's news. That's all.
Frank, the producers say we need a feature for today. You got anything in mind at all?
Yeah, I've got an idea.
What makes a good reporter for the Flynn Daily News? Imagination, for one thing. Imagination to come up with fresh approaches to old, familiar stories, as well as ideas for new ones.
Just pictures of people walking down the street, glum faces, and play music over it like I'll Never Smile Again, or put on a happy face or something like that. Or else just do a man on the street type thing. Just talk to them about Smile Week, see if I can get them to smile, or it might even be better if they don't smile. How long before you
A good television reporter must, of course, be able to communicate on film. He must be able to think on his feet. He must be a sharp interviewer who can ask intelligent questions about everything from ward politics to the common market, because he may do interviews on both subjects the same day. A good reporter should know the city and the people in it, and he must be tenacious, like Hugh Hill, unwilling to give up on a story just because someone is a bit camera shy.
Are you prepared, Mr. Ricker, to go to jail if you don't talk?
No comment.
How do you feel about this, bringing you up here before the grand jury? Do you have any, do you feel you're being harassed, Mr. Ricker?
A good reporter never quits, even when confronted by the all-too-familiar official edict, no TV cameras will be allowed in this meeting.
I don't know.
Behind these closed doors, the Mayor's Riot Study Committee held its first public hearing today with all the electronics press barred.
Well, the point is, isn't this a public hearing?
The judge gives the orders. No, you argue with the judge, don't argue with me. I don't. The judge says no television, no television.
And then put us off.
As television newsmen, we don't think our cameras should be shut out of any public meeting. We have a responsibility to report news the best way we can, on film. Sometimes, if our reporters show enough determination, we can break a camera ban. This time, we did not. But as you can see, Les Brownlee got the story anyway. It's all part of the daily effort to gather eyewitness news. The assignments, the radio calls, step up as the day races on. But not every story develops instantly. That film team is still waiting in Hammond. But now the word is, finally, the firemen are coming.
Over here, Charlie. Excuse me, sir. Murray.
Hey, Jim. Jim.
But there is more frustration in store for reporter Larry Buckman and crew. As the hearing is about to begin, the judge gets a call from the court clerk. There are too many people in the old building, which was condemned several weeks before. It might collapse. Everybody out. There will be another delay until everyone can get over to the Hammond City Hall.
Car 36, I'd like you to go to 64 East Street, room 100.
Newscaster Joel Daly is a working newsman. He likes to get out and meet the newsmakers and work with the camera crews to be where the action is. Joel was in Southeast Asia producing documentaries in 1962. He covered the 1964 Republican Convention in San Francisco for network TV, and he was once a correspondent in Panama. In addition to field reporting, Joel writes his commentaries and helps with the preparation of his 3 news shows. Fahey Flynn is the real veteran newsman of the Channel 7 team. He has reported every major Chicago news story for the past 25 years. In that time, he's met hundreds of newsmakers and developed widespread news contacts. Fahey keeps in constant touch with his news sources. And sometimes, an informal conversation like this with Adlai Stevenson III can lead to a break on a big story. Fahey also addresses more than 200 business, civic, and educational groups a year. He gets out and meets people. Fahey is a vital link between the newsroom and the community.
The country is conditioned great questions of war and peace, and they're going to find a way.
Weatherman John Coleman knows what his best source is. It's the United States Weather Bureau. And John gets out to the Chicago Bureau's headquarters at Midway Airport often. John feels the more he knows about how the Weather Bureau compiles its data and makes its forecasts, the better he can make his forecast. Besides, John loves to talk about the weather, especially with someone as devoted to it as he is. The official winds, temperature, and humidity recorded by these instruments at Midway will be a part of John's weather this evening. The forecasts are his own, but John is the first to admit he couldn't make an accurate forecast without the Weather Bureau's detailed observation and analysis. Each morning at 5 and again at 11, the Weather Bureau sends up its experimental balloon. Its purpose, to measure conditions in the upper atmosphere. John Coleman likes to cover stories about weather experiments, especially when they could pave the way for more accurate forecasting in the future. The kind of accuracy that could minimize the loss of lives in tornadoes and other violent storms. Besides, Chicago's changeable weather has embarrassed forecasters all too frequently in the past. Bill Frink is your eyewitness for all that's happening in the world of sports. Bill goes where the sports action is each day, so he can report firsthand to you on tonight's newscast. Bill has been covering the Midwest sports scene for 2 decades. He knows where to go for the inside information, the elation of the winners, and the agony of the losers. Bill doesn't forget the sports fan either. He'll talk sports anytime, anywhere, and any place. How the fans feel about the team, the coach, and the individual players can sometimes be more important than the outcome of the game. Now about that film team in Hammond. They're still waiting. The Gary firemen are just approaching Hammond City Hall. A courier is dispatched by the assignment desk to pick up the early film. TV film deadlines are even tighter than newspaper deadlines. They can take a story in by phone, then print it. We have to hand carry our film back to the lab, and travel time from Hammond is 45 minutes. While the courier races back with the exposed film, the crew stays on to cover the story to its conclusion. Once the film reaches the lab, it will be 30 to 40 minutes before it is processed, making our deadlines even tighter. In 1968, Channel 7 News shot more than 1,300,000 feet of color news film. That's enough to make 1,300 90-minute feature films. It's also enough film to stretch out from downtown Chicago clear to Moline, some 250 miles away. What's more, for every 6 feet of film we shot, only 1 foot appeared on the air after editing. Four processing machines are in constant operation. The key elements here are speed and quality of color. The lab is under constant pressure to get it done, so the film can be rushed to the newsroom. Midday in the newsroom. The first of a series of meetings is going on between the news director, executive news producer, the news show producers,
Yeah, we should have some.
and the assignment editor.
To get the film of the fireman actually going into the
Here, the day's events are discussed, visual presentation and approach decided, and follow-up coverage planned. The producers are backgrounded on the stories already on film, and those that will be filmed. The producers look for balance in our shows. As any viewer knows, all news is not bad. People do good things, too. Viewer ideas, suggestions, and criticisms are evaluated and also discussed at these meetings. By afternoon, time has become an enemy. There's always so much film to edit, so little time to do it. But it does get done.
Are you men still going to go to the end on all this?
Well, these are the firemen guys, and they just are not.
It's here in the editing room where we go into a mile of news film every day, where processed film is screened, evaluated, and edited. The news writer and film editor work as a team to extract the heart of the story. It takes experienced people to take the raw film and build a clear, concise film story. Each of our editors have spent an average of 10 years doing it. We use all the special arts of film editing to present the story in the most visually attractive way.
Okay, Bruce, I want to pick up on the hippie type fellow there, you know, that was talking about the problems of the world. There he is.
Pick it up here.
Bruce, are we going to have the dollar to Bill 15 in front of this?
Yeah.
I think that has got in mind maybe a 2.5 minute story here, Bruce.
I think we got it.
Yeah, you got lots of room. Very good.
Still another element in the Flynn Daily News is videotape. Film shot by ADC News cameramen around the world is transmitted to us on a special closed-circuit telecast. The producer and news editor look at what's available and select the most important stories for you to see.
The most amazing thing is that no one was killed outright. It is along the 7-mile path cut by storm.
I think, Warren, we could take about 5 seconds off the top of this. Have a good
But it doesn't happen magically. The writer and the tape editor combine their skills to edit it. There isn't much time. The Flynn Daily News is less than an hour away when the closed-circuit feed begins. But fast work can have a news tape ready for playback on the air within minutes. The film and tapes are edited. But the writer's job is just beginning. He must make it a complete story. The script must be written for split-second timing. It must be read and reread, written and rewritten, before it becomes a part of the Flynn Daily News. The writer must tie together any loose ends of a story. He uses the telephone and wire services to check for late developments and double-check the facts. As airtime draws near, Joel Daly returns to the newsroom. He begins sifting through hundreds of stories, from politics to science, to that little story that makes you laugh. To digest this into an overview of the day, this is the challenge Joel faces each day as he prepares his commentary. Pictures out of hundreds that literally roll into us each day. We use only a few, but they add yet another dimension to the Flynn Daily News. Sometimes, still photographers can get places where film cameramen cannot, and a picture is still worth 1,000 words. So, wherever possible, we use them. More last-minute preparations to expand the news, maps, charts, and those names that magically appear over somebody to identify him to the TV audience. All are done by the art department.
There we go. All right, just a couple of suitors for the 5 o'clock show. Okay.
Why don't we get some film of O.J. Simpson? He really had a pretty good game, and I'd like to find some film footage. I'm sure we had some.
The film library can be a lifesaver on a late-breaking story. Bill Frink needs action film of a college football star who just signed with the pros. A prominent politician dies, and the news producer would like film of his last speech. John Coleman needs film of a tornado. They all can go to our film library. Channel 7 News has more than 1 million feet of historic news film stored away, ready for use at a moment's notice.
Hey, how'd I get bumped, Bob? How'd I get bumped?
It's been said that television news is organized chaos. Sometimes you begin to wonder about the organization as we approach airtime each day. Amidst the bedlam, assignment editors are checking stories. Writers furiously typing scripts. The producer is timing his show, hoping it will come out somewhere close to 30 minutes. The director is marking the scripts and growling as the producer keeps changing the show around. It's all part of the madness we live through every day. Put it all together, and you've got a complete, informative, 30-minute newscast.
Teachers Union story, page 3 now. Film not in? The film is not in time, but we'll go with the first story. Okay.
When the fire trucks were going down the streets and when the firemen and his wives tried to stop them. And it was a happy type atmosphere. They stopped in the middle of that.
What have you got, Bob?
This is straightening out on this one.
Okay. Yeah, all right. $100,000. I think I lost. Yeah, right. I got $500,000.
And could I have your name? We'll have a courier come out and pick it up.
And when that moment of crisis comes, when it looks like we just might not make it tonight, it seems that everyone begins performing at superhuman speeds.
Joe, 5 minutes there. 5 minutes there, okay. Okay, it's wrapped up.
The news show is on its way to the control room and studio. The film is rushed up to the projection room. Now it all comes down to the skill of the technicians who put the show on the air. The men who race the clock each day to load the projectors, the studio cameramen, the control room crew, and videotape crew. It's up to these people to make the long hours of work pay off. It takes more than 100 people to put on a news program that looks as though it were no effort at all. And that's what we strive for each day on the Flynn Daily Eyewitness News.
I need a Barreto air picture up in Studio C. Okay? I'm in C. We're going to go in the air in a couple of minutes.
Tape machine 23, ready with your news spot.
Okay, I guess we're ready.
How do you do, ladies and gentlemen? I'm Fahey Flynn. The Gary City Council has turned down a proposed settlement of the firemen's strike.
Meanwhile, as the judge began hearing arguments, it was apparent that the strike remained a stalemate. That after early morning conferences, the council refused to reopen the budget.
Meanwhile, the city of Gary continues virtually without fire protection and can only cross its fingers and hope there are no major fires.
Take 2 cartridge.